It feels like I'm telling you about some ridiculous new educrat decision each and every week. Politically correct administrators finding new and innovative ways to solve so-called problems by controlling the lives of our children with their unusually perverted policies. Now, we've told you about Earl Beatty Public School in Toronto, banning the ball. No ball playing allowed because one parent got hit by a ball in the schoolyard. An extension of the elimination of tag and Red Rover at many school playgrounds across the Western world. We've told you about schools across the country getting rid of Halloween celebrations because it might be offensive to witches. Or the school board in New York getting rid of words like birthday and dinosaur because it might upset people with different belief systems. And it gets even weirder, like the school in Denver that eliminates all forms of dancing for being too provocative, including the hokey pokey and the chicken dance. And then there's the ban on this in Massachusetts. Yes, the meep meep from Beaker the Muppet apparently became so distracting that it was banned at a school in Denver. You know, I can think of some worse four-letter words. Can't you? We have witnessed bans on best friends at schools in the UK, in Britain. That's right. Supposedly to protect kids from feeling left out. Some kids don't have a best friend. But there's one ban that educrats are latching onto that is so inhuman. I can't even mock it with mirth. It's this new and twisted ban on hugging. Yes, hugging has become a crime at schools around the world as far away as New Zealand, eliminating physical contact in an over-the-top response to bullying and the apparent rash of kids having sex in the hallways. There are some variations to the no-touch rule. One Texas school has banned holding hands. A school in Virginia has a prohibition on high fives. There have been cases of kids getting detention for giving each other a hug. Well, this no-touch policy was put under the spotlight here in Canada at Earnscliffe Senior Public School in Brampton, Ontario this week. 4 friends had enough, staging a hug-in protest against the ban on physical contact. We'll hear from those girls in just a few minutes right here. But these rules go against physical contact. They go beyond the absurd. When did someone getting or giving a hug, when did this become part of physical assault? The very idea is inhuman. And so it's time for some Canadian common sense. Banning hugs. Have you heard of anything so ridiculous? Could you use a hug right about now? Whether you want to admit it or not, we all need them. In fact, scientific research proves that both kids and adults need to be touched in order to live happy and fulfilling lives. Let me put on my scientist hat and lay it out for you for just a bit. Over 60 years ago, doctors could not understand why orphaned babies kept dying under their care, despite being given proper nutrition and sterile surroundings. It prompted American psychologist Harry Harlow to reach a groundbreaking discovery. The babies were dying because they weren't being touched enough. They didn't get enough soothing, enough hugging. Harlow began experiments on baby monkeys and quickly discovered that being comforted was more important to a baby than even eating. I'm going to show you some old video of those experiments. As an animal lover myself, it disturbs me to watch some of this, but we need to stress the importance of all this. Harlow kept the babies in isolation from their real moms and set up 2 imaginary moms, one with a metal frame that dispensed food, another covered in soft cloth. The baby monkey spent all of its time with the cloth mom and only went to the other when it produced food, showing that comfort was more important than basic needs like food and water. But what's more disturbing is the after effects of the experiments. Raised without a real mother to soothe them, the monkeys could not interact with other monkeys in a normal manner, clutching themselves, rocking themselves back and forth, exhibiting aggression, their sexual impulses destroyed. When these babies grew up and became motherless moms themselves, their own babies became neglected, even abused violently, all because of a lack of touch. Unfortunately, we've seen evidence of what neglect does to humans. In the early 1990s, U.S. researchers studied the extreme neglect found in orphanages during the turmoil of post-communist Romania. Neglect was so bad, orphanage nurseries were silent, even though they were filled with babies, because the poor babies learned that crying was a waste of time, because nobody would be there to comfort them. When news of this broke, parents flocked to adopt and save, to rescue these babies from such a horrible existence. But were dismayed to find that these kids had IQs 40 points below normal, exhibiting severe behavioral and emotional disorders, and even stunted growth. You just need to look at this chart for proof, comparing the brain of two 3-year-olds, one healthy, the other who didn't get hugs. Neglected kids, ladies and gentlemen, tend to grow up to be drug and alcohol addicts, drop out of school, join gangs. Not making excuses for them at all, but serial killer, cannibal, Jeffrey Dahmer, a neglected kid. Folks, there's even research out there that demonstrates that neglect is worse than actual abuse, that beating a child is not as bad on their psyche as ignoring them, as twisted as that may sound. Touch is the first sense to develop in the womb, and it's the last to leave in old age. It's essential to the physical and emotional well-being of all of us. It's proven to reduce depression, anxiety, stress, and even physical pain. Therapist and author Virginia Satir declares that human beings need 4 hugs a day for survival, 8 hugs a day for maintenance, 12 hugs a day for growth. Let me be clear. Unwanted touching is assault. But this thing has gone way too far. We've turned into a touch-phobic society where the simplest and most innocent touch is misconstrued as sexual or inappropriate. Folks, I apologize for getting all scientific on you tonight, but you can see why these bans on physical contact at schools is against human nature. Not permitting contact with a child who's crying and needs a hug from a friend, making kids fearful to even touch each other, it is so unnatural. There used to be a time when teachers told kids to hug and make up. Now these educrat idiots are trying to fix a problem, but they're creating a much larger one. Who knows how much this is going to do to damage the development of these kids? This lacks a lot, and it goes beyond a lack of common sense. So please tonight, find a loved one, stage your own hug-in protest. Give them a big, giant bear hug. You'll be happy you did. In fact, you'll be extending their life and yours, and you'll be giving the cold, clinical, and heartless nanny state the big heave-ho out the front door. And that's Canadian common sense.